Good morning. Today is the 28th of May 2024 and I'm doing this video to replace my live video which I normally do at 9 AM Eastern Time. It's currently 7:30 Eastern Time and sadly I'm off to a funeral shortly, so I'm going to do this video now and I'm going to set my levels, set my alerts, and I may trade later when I get back, but obviously today's one of those emotional days, best not to. I almost took a trade this morning. I was watching this area here on the 15-minute and it was looking pretty decent. Just open up my pen. You can see top in tail, indecision, top in tail, indecision, top in tail, indecision, and then it was putting in this kind of direction, and it looked like it could have been a flag, but you know, I hesitated and obviously I already said I wasn't going to trade today, so I kind of stood back. I did put some orders in and I cancelled them about 5 or 6 times, so I was watching for the breakdown of that pivot there, and I had an order in on this here and I didn't like it. There wasn't any volume coming through, so I cancelled it, and then I came back in and I watched this area here again. I saw it kind of starting to put in a lower high every time. There's no follow through, but the volume was pretty nice. It's pre-market volume anyway. And then I saw this GBI as well on the 2-minute, and I thought, you know what, that might have been a good play. And you can now see that would have been a brilliant play. So it would have been below there. That would have been stop. Would have been about there, and it would have easily hit 3R, wherever that is. And let's have a look, see what did it go in the end. So I think it's more just start. Oh, hang on, wrong button. That one there, short position. And what did it do in the end? I probably would have taken it under the pivot. So 3R would have been about there. So easy 3R, and it went. Where did it go in the end? 10.5R. So really good trade. I probably would have just trailed it at 3R, and the reason what drew my attention to it because I was watching for a break of trend, and that's where it broke the trend there, and then I was waiting for it to pull back into an area of interest, you know, which is the previous high. And the reason I was watching it, if you go back to yesterday, we had a double. Well, at the time it was almost a double top when I was watching it this morning. My phone rattling. So wasn't really a double top, but I was basically, the reason I hesitated is I thought it was going to come back into that area and then bounce, and it wasn't enough risk to reward for that. But it didn't. It just went straight down, and now it's just doing that. So yeah, did it tick off everything on my checklist? If I got my reversals checklist here. 60-minute level, it was close to a level we was talking about on Friday for a rejection. In fact, it was right. I think it was right around that area. Trend line broken. It had delta showing a reversal. So if I flick over to my left screen, so the delta wasn't. It was. We were seeing the pivots were decreasing in the price. It was kind of sideways, but we were seeing increasing cumulative delta as well, so more aggressive buying, and that's the other reason it put me off as well. And then we got cumulative delta divergence. There was no real divergence, that was going sideways. I thought it might have pushed up, that's why it looked like a bit of a flag pattern. Absorption, hard to tell on these low volumes, but you can see we were coming into high areas of orders up in the upper end, and if you compare it to the lower ends, it's not as much. So it kind of was a bit of absorption. And the reversal pattern, you can see clearly on, and let's just zoom out there, it's basically a head and shoulders pattern, shoulder, head, right shoulder. It was a triple top as well. Flick back onto my main screen, a triple top, or you could say it's a head and shoulders pattern as well, and that was the neckline just there. And the neckline happened to be close to where yesterday's high, but there was no volume yesterday as well because it was a bank holiday here in the UK, and I think it was a holiday in the US as well. Let's go back to my note. Is there a single digit order? Well, there was a few. If I go back to that screen again, so I was watching it from here. There was 6 orders there, and then we had 16, and then we had 8 there. And that's when I got interested again, and then we sold off. We came back, retested that area. So that was the break and retest, and then we saw the big sell-off down there with very minimal orders until we started going sideways, which is where we are right now. And then flip back to my main screen again. Ending volume, not really. There was, no, not really. And is there a retest of the high to low? Is there a retest of the high low to find an entry? And there was quite a few times. So maybe I may have stopped out trying to find that entry as well. So overall, the idea was right. I didn't take the trade in the end. I'm trying to err on the side of caution. If I'm not 100% convinced it's the trade I want, then I don't want to take it. But the actual play would have been this break here, break of the neckline, come back up the retest. That's the area. And I was, to be fair, when it broke down there, I was doing other things at the time as well, and it sold off. So maybe had I been watching it and it had been market hours, I may have taken it on that point. But that's it. So let's just go through some levels for today. Back to the hourly. So I'm trying to keep an eye on pre-market because you get a lot of moves in the pre-market. That's a big move for the pre-market. And obviously, being UK time, if I can trade before the market even opens and be done here in the UK by midday, which is 7:30 or 7 AM Eastern time, then that would be great for me. So what we're looking at, we're watching for a bounce really back in this area of demand. So Friday we came into it, we kind of went sideways, didn't do much at all. So I think if we get back down into the 53.20 area, we can watch that for a bounce. We've got the curve in 50 moving average as well. And then zooming out, you can see it's an area of interest. We've got multiple touches of that zone there, so 53.12. We touched it there, we came into it there. We kind of went sideways Friday in that area as well. So we just see whether we can come back and retest that area. Watch it for a bounce to continue. We're in a massive big uptrend. So let's go into the daily before we move on. So we made a new high a new all-time high last week. What's that? That was on Thursday I meant, and we had big volume on that push up. But notice the top and tail candle as well, just there, and then we had not as much volume, and maybe we're seeing a bit of a low volume pullback. But while it's in this area, we've had this big run up over the last few months, and we had a bit of a pullback. You know, we are seeing decreasing volume on that pullback as well. Potentially, that candle here could be a reversal candle with the ending volume. So we could be looking at an end of a trend, kind of getting the same volume as we were getting there, which we saw the reversal in that area down. So be a bit wary trying to go long in these areas. It's also hard to go short. We really need to see it break below Friday's low to see, not Friday's low, whatever that is, Thursday's low, to see whether we can start picking up a bit of a downtrend or a change of trend. So let's go back to the hourly, which brings us into the next levels. I still quite like the bounce down at 52.50 and potentially around this area as well, which I'm going to mark up. At around 52.80 to 52.88 area as well. That's the areas I'm watching for a bounce. Hard to do a rejection against all-time high, but I'm going to mark it off anyway. But we can watch that area for a rejection. Let's get rid of that trend line. We don't need that now. I'm going to keep that one in place. Get rid of that one, that's it. So, and I'm going to keep that one in place because that's an area we're watching. 53.50 for a rejection, and 52.50 for a bounce down here. We've got a few minor levels we can watch as well. So my favourite idea for today will be a bounce in this area around 53.10 to 53.20, If we see significant weakness, we can watch it sell off. We can watch for a bounce in this zone as well. 52.75 through to 52.85 area. But my favourite area will be the bounce in this area down here at 52.50. So that's the area. I've got an alert ready for that as well. And that's it really. So I'll try and keep it really simple. Just note where the point of control is as well when I zoom back into that area. So we've got the point of control, lots of volume up here as well, which is why I said on Friday it's going to be hard to break through that area, hence why it's a rejection area, hence why I was looking at the rejection this morning, because of the extra volume and the point of control. But look, we came through that point of control, we closed above it and then back down below it again. So we know there's volume up there, so we can watch that area for rejection if we come back into that area again as well. Right, look at SPY next. Came right up into that trend line. We haven't got there on ES yet, so it's kind of, that play's gone. So what we can wait for is a break of trend for the short. See that hourly trend line? So we're right in the bounce area now, and we'll see what happens if we can break. If we break down, come back up, retest, we can watch for a short. Was there an obvious trend line on ES? Yeah, let's put that in as well. It's not that obvious really, because it's broken the trend line. That's the trend line I was watching. We'll keep that there, it's good for reference. You can see we bounced off it there, we came out, we went sideways on Monday. Couldn't quite hold above that trend line, so potentially we are seeing a change of trend, but we need to keep an eye on that. So let's go back to SPY for some levels. So this trend line's better, and this is one we can watch for the breakdown below pre-market low. So we break pre-market low, come back up, we can watch for a rejection, and that's around 530, 529.85, 530. We can watch for a double top up in this area again, 531.43. And if we break it, let's get rid of that trend line. If we break it, then we can watch for continuation, break, retest, and continue. And then most likely if it does break it, we'll put in a new high. And then the bounce area, I do quite like this area around here at 520 to 518 for the bounce. And probably 522, this area as well. So let's just, few levels, I'll get rid of that one. I think, yeah, 523.85 down to 522 for the bounce. That's the area I'm watching. NQ, I'm going to draw the same trend line in here. You can see that's a, let's get rid of that one. You can see it's held the trend line for a few days, and then yesterday, big push up on volume, and it came back down. It's now below that trend line. If we can get below pre-market low, we can watch it for a break and retest short. Otherwise, we can watch pre-market high for a break and retest long, or if there's no follow through, a rejection. But potentially, we're still in an uptrend, and even if this, let's just put in another trend line. Even that trend line there could still be valid. So see how it's fanning. Let's get rid of that one. Yeah, it's got to break that trend line as well. So break and retest of pre-market low is a play, but we need to get below this point of control. So probably want to see it break down, come back up, retest in that area there for the rejection. And we've got decline, we've got all this volume in this area, so it's going to be hard to break through that, but if we do, we should see some move down, because there's not much volume down this area. Bounce wise, 18,336, 18,300 I like for the bounce, and there's a few minor areas we can watch as well. But I also quite like the 18,610 for a bounce as well. Maybe a higher, maybe even 18,6 77 to 700 for a bounce well, and that's our area confluence. Looking at QQQ next. So I still quite like this area around here, 446.60 for the bounce. We see we've got lots of tops of candles here, and we see the volume. There's a big volume shelf there as well, this area here. So we can watch this area for a bounce, 446, and then we can play the trend continuation if we do break up above and beyond pre-market high, and that's around 460.75. And then let's look at QQQs on the daily, just to see how we're doing with volume. So even though we're putting in a new high, look at the volume, it's declining volume as well. Again, tread carefully, going long. It's going to be hard, you know, we're seeing a bit of exhaustion up there now. Market's still drifting up, but maybe we can look for a pullback into the previous all-time highs for the next bounce, 450. Okay, that's it really. SPX. We can watch 5300 again. If it's above, we can look for a bounce. If it's below, we can watch it for a rejection. We should be above it by the looks of it because we gapped up. So watch for a bounce at 5300, and then same levels as last week, 52.62 for a bounce, and then no rejections. Crude oil. Look at that, we talked about that here. Last week came in, bounced in that area perfectly and broke the trend. So we had the trend line, this area here. Didn't really put in a good reversal. We want to see it reverse, we want to see it put in lower lows each time. Come back up, put in a lower high there, and then reverse, but we didn't really see that. It just came out firing and strong. So basically it's broken over that pivot. We had the break and retest on Monday. Wasn't watching that, but that would have been a good long. I think if it retests that area again, pre-market low, 78.50, we'll watch that for a bounce. So put a level in. 78.57 for a bounce. And then we've got the rejections, looking at confluence. This is a rejection area there. 80.17 for the rejection. Down to, we've got kind of a broad area, that area there. These are the areas to watch for targets or rejections, 79.50 and 80.17. And then if we come back down to this area, seems to be holding it pretty well. We've got lots of volume down there now as well, especially recently we had a couple more. Bit more interest down there. We can watch this area for a bounce as well, but we could just be eating time off the clock before we finally break down, so just be a bit wary of that as well. Volume, let's go to the daily. Yeah, it's looking slightly decreasing. You can tell by the moving averages coming down. So yeah, so volume, average volume, they're the only place to watch for. Gold. At gold. I'll still keep this trend line in place. It's coming right into a bounce area right now, so potentially 23.43 is the bounce. We may have had that in the pre-market, so it may have already gone. We are below the averages, I remember, we are above the 50. Probably the same levels as watching last week. The bounce, I'm going to make an adjustment. 23.25 for a bounce. Area of confidence as well. Tops of candles, bottoms of candles, tops and bottoms there, and bottoms of this big move. And we have decline in volume. You can see that quite clearly here. Decline in volume on this sell-off, and still declining. In fact, the declining bits there as well. So we potentially could be looking at a flag and could see continuation. If we can break it's got to be yesterday's, Friday's high, sorry, it's Monday's high. We can look for a long, break and retest of 23.60 long, or if we've broken this trend now, so potentially we can watch for the breakdown of pre-market low as well, break and retest of pre-market low with a target of the lows of Thursday. RTY, look at that, came right into an area I was watching on yesterday, almost touched it, rejected. So this just shows these levels of confidence works really well. I wasn't far off. We can watch that for a double top, sideways 200 moving average. If we were to have a zone, let's just draw it in. That area there. So it's bottoms of all these candles and it's an area of supply. So 2094, 2096 to 97 for rejection. And then just draw the trend line in. You can see it's starting to break trend now. You can move that there. It's come back up, retested that trend line, so we could be looking for a bit of a reversal maybe. One thing I didn't check was news today. Let's do that quickly now. No news. 9 o'clock we've got some news. And then nothing major. We've got 10 o'clock consumer confidence, so that can move the market. 10:30 manufacturing index, so keep an eye on that. And we've got Fed speakers as well. 1:05 1. So some market movers today, so keep an eye on those times. And then let's just finally look at YM. This is the Dow Jones. There we go. So we can see quite clearly this level here. And we can watch for the break and retest of 39,100. This area here. Break, retest, short. And if we break over pre-market high, we can watch for the break and retest long pre-market high as well. That's the only two levels. That's the most obvious levels on this chart. You can see target as well. If we do go short, we've got a target of 38.95, and then we've got a couple more. Let's just put in a couple more levels around this area as well. 38.781, and then if we go long, we've got a target. A few targets are going up above as well. Okay, so that's the only play really. Look for weakness on the Dow Jones. Break and retest off pre-market low. Yesterday's low. We're in a downtrend as well. Head and shoulders pattern. No real volume down here as well. Got a volume shelf just above, so it's proven difficult to get through. See this volume shelf here, and we weren't able to break through that area here. So maybe either we've absorbed it and it is going to break through, or we're going to reject. And then finally, Bitcoin. We've got this area of confidence which is formed. Bottoms of candles there, tops of these pivots there. Break, retest. You kind of would have thought that would have been a retest that area and long, but it's shown weakness. So we can come into that area as well and watch it for a rejection. Yeah, it's looking weaker than I thought it would have been. I was expecting it really to break out, especially on this. I was expecting to see that, but we're kind of giving it up. So hard to go long. Bitcoin's sideways at the moment as well. Okay, let's just quickly go back to ES, just sum up. These are the ones I really watch. Let's just sum up the levels for today. So we are in an area of confidence right now, in a bit of a bounce area, which we've bounced already. But what I really like is if we do kind of break in this trend line, we can probably put a case in for another trend line. There, if I extend it. There you go. If you connect up those pivots with those pivots, it kind of equals. So we are. So that trend line's in play as well. So break and retest a pre-market low short, and that is 53.25, 53.24 area. High risk, that's where we are right now. So break and retest short. we are coming into an area, it's hard to go short, so it'll be more of a scalp because we are still in an uptrend, hourly uptrend, and in a daily uptrend still. So it'll be a scalp below there. It will be a break and retest of pre-market high with a target of all-time highs, and that is 53.40. And then if we come down into these areas, I quite like the bounce at 52.88. That's where the volume shelf starts, and then we go all the way down into 52.76. But my favourite area I'm watching is 52.50, and of course we've got a rejection at 53.50 as well. This area here, we haven't tested that area since we broke through it. Once we tested it. So that's it really. Okay, I will do the live order flow, which I've had on earlier when I've shown you why I didn't really like this short, even though it would have worked. So I'll have that live, and I won't be live at 2 PM because I'm just about to leave for my uncle's funeral. Okay, thank you for watching.